What's up? It's Whitney, bro. I'm coming to you with my eyes already done. If you like this eye look, I did record a video recreating a friend of mine's look, and you can just click the little guy up here to see that video. Without further ado, we're going to get into why you came to this video, which is my tried and true base routine that I'm going to be explaining kind of in depth, more so than I normally would in a typical video. Get your popcorn because this might be a long one and we're going to get into it. So for this video, I'm going to be focusing on technique and not products. I'll tell you what products I use listed below, but I'm not going to talk about them in the video. So we're going to go in first with whatever your favorite primer is. If you don't have a favorite primer, consider your skin type and skin concerns. I tend to have combo dry skin. It leans more dry. So I like to use a primer that is hydrating and also grips onto the foundation. But if you're someone with really oily skin, a hydrating primer may not be it for you. You may want to opt for like a mattifying primer and just make sure you get it on your entire face. You really don't want to, like, some people only put certain primers in certain areas, which is fine as long as the other areas are getting some kind of primer, because you don't want to have primed skin and then unprimed skin, because there will be a line of demarcation. Basically, there's going to be a line where you'll be able to tell where the primer started and where it stopped. So we don't want that. We're going to get into foundation. Foundation, there's a variety of foundations that you could choose. If you're someone with very oily skin, you don't want a cream or a liquid foundation, you can always opt for a powder foundation. Now, because my skin leans to the dry side, I really don't like powder foundations. That's just my personal preference. So I'm using a liquid foundation. And I like to put it on the back of my hand, kind of use it as like a makeup palette. If you have a makeup palette and you'd rather use that than your hand, totally understand that. We're just a little ghetto over here, so it's fine. Because I store my foundations in a drawer sideways, so sometimes the formulas can separate a little bit. So I like to give it a little mix on the back of my hand, and then I like to go in and dot the foundation all over my face. I know it looks crazy before I blend it in. It looks like I'm putting mud on my face, like, girl, that's not your color. It looks good once it's blended out, I swear. And then I do like to make sure there's foundation down here, because a lot of people, the biggest mistake that people make when first getting into makeup and foundation in general is using incorrect blending methods to where they end up with a line and you are walking around looking like the mask. I'm going to go ahead and put concealer on. If you want a highlighted look, you can go in with a concealer that is a few shades lighter than your skin tone. I personally don't like that look on myself, so that's not what we're doing. I mean, it is a little bit compared to the foundation, whatever. Now we're going to go in with the Sigma multitasker brush, the F47, and we're going to start doing stippling motions all where we put the foundation, just up and down like we're using a beauty blender. Even though this isn't a beauty blender, we want that same motion. And where it's a little bit dark for me right now, all of my foundations are a bit all over the place because I change skin tones a lot during the year. But we're just going to bring it down our neck and feather it down the neck so that way there's not a harsh line where that coloration ends. We're trying to create a natural fade so that our foundation is unclockable. And continue to do the same thing on the other side of your face. And on your ears, if your foundation is a little bit dark like mine, and our ears are a little bit light, we're going to go over our ears with the foundation. See how that one looks good? I haven't done it with this one, so it looks a little disjointed. And you want to make sure the same feathering we did on the sides here, which I didn't do on this side yet, we want to do right here, because this is also an area that will be a dead giveaway that we didn't blend. And if you don't have a Sigma brush, I don't want you to feel like you need to run out and buy a Sigma brush, because Sigma brushes are very expensive comparatively to other brands that you can get for just like a couple bucks for a brush. I think this one retails for like 20 something. So don't feel like you have to have this brush. You really just want a brush that is dense and really doesn't give. I have this one from Morphe. It's a slightly different shape, but it still makes a very good foundation brush because it's densely packed. I've got the foundation all blended out, and my personal preference with concealer, I like to apply it and allow it to sit because you get more coverage out of it that way. And I do have some darker circles that I am trying to cover up. But if you don't have that issue and you're okay with the amount of coverage you get right out of the application, you can go ahead and blend it as soon as you lay it down. Because I want more coverage out of it, I'm going to go ahead and do my bronzer while I'm waiting for that concealer to sit. The next brush I'm going to be using is called the Bronze, and it's by Marc Jacobs. I don't think this exists anymore. So realistically, any big, you don't want it as dense as your foundation, like you want it to give a little bit more, but a big floofy bronzing brush is really going to help you, one, get it done a lot faster, but two, really help that nice natural blend that we're going. And I just like to tap the top of it, and same thing that we did with the foundation, we're going to go in and use stippling motions for our bronzer as well. I like to go a little bit more dramatic with bronzer because that's just who I am as a person, but I would say you want your bronzer to be at least 2 shades darker than your skin tone so that it looks bronze like you've been in the sun. And I should probably say that, I should have said this in the beginning of the video, but all of these tips are applicable regardless of what skin tone that you are. I'm trying to make this video as neutral in terms of application that I possibly can, because this is all about technique and application, not about the shades I'm wearing or the colors that you should use. And I like to use a combination with bronzer. I like to set it down with stippling motions, like I'm doing right now. And then when I get to this area, I like to use a buffing motion to really get it into my hairline. If you are bronzing your forehead, which we all should be, you want to get it as close to your hairline as you possibly can, so that way you have the most natural finish, that it doesn't, that there's not this stark line where your hair starts and then the bronzer starts. Okay. So we are bronzing, and then we're going to get to here, and we're going to give it what I call a zhuzh. Give it a zhuzh. And there, now our forehead is beautifully bronzed. We're going to take the product and put it on the brush, the very tippy top of it, and you're going to go, so mine is relatively easy to see where my cheekbone sits and the hollows of my cheeks. I don't have any product on, that's just how my bones are. But you can use, you'll look funny for a minute, but you can use the age-old technique of going, and that'll enhance it and show you where those are if your face doesn't sit naturally where you can see them. And the reason I bring that up is because you want to take your bronzer and you don't want to apply it any lower than where that mark is. We want to aim for above that mark or right on top of that mark. And you're going to take that brush and you're going to go where we want it to end at and just do feathering motions upward like this. And if it gets a little below it, not the end of the world, because there are ways to fix that. We just want to aim for it to be above that. And we're just going to keep feathering, add more product as you need until you get the bronze that's desired. And then you can use stippling motions to blend the edges of it out. I don't know if you can see that open space right here. A lot of people leave that space open and don't put bronzer there. I personally already have a wide, round face. So if you have a similar face shape to mine, you're going to want to put bronzer there and connect your forehead bronzer to your cheek bronzer via this little channel. I don't know if it's your temple. I think your temple's up here. Whatever part of your face this is. We're going to take just a little bit more product on the brush and just gently feather it up the side of our face to meet that bronzer. And as you can see, my face already looks slimmer just from doing that than it does on this side. So I'm going ahead and feathering that upward, getting the cheek bronzer to where I want it. And a very easy thing to do if we did get out a little out of hand and a little bit of it has gone where you don't want it to go, take your foundation brush, no extra product because there will still be product left on it, and bring it right underneath where you want it to stop and just feather that brush downward. And as you can see, I cleaned it up. Even though it didn't look that bad, I've cleaned it up now and we're even more snatched. We're going to go ahead and blend it out, and I'm actually going to use the exact same brush that I used for foundation. Because of its shape, if you use one more like the other one that I showed you, you will want to go for a more angled brush that you can really get under the eyes with, or something like this. This also is a Sigma brush. It's the Soft Blend Concealer F64. This one may not exist anymore. They might have revamped it, but something dome shaped to where you can get in under the eye. But I'm going to go in with the same brush and still using those stippling motions. I am bringing that concealer from where I applied it and blending it out instead of applying a bunch all over the under eye. If you have any sort of wrinkles, if you're over the age of 30, you're going to want to use that technique as opposed to seeing, you know, the old school 2016 triangles, because it's just too much product for your under eye to handle. And the thing I really enjoy about using your foundation brush to blend the concealer out is it really helps there not be a drastic line from where your foundation meets your concealer. It helps blend and smooth everything out, and that whatever product from your foundation was left on your brush blends in effortlessly with your concealer. Next up, we're going to go into blush, and the blush I'm going to use today is going to be a liquid blush, but you can apply the same technique using a powder brush. Using a powder blush. So I'm going in with a peach colored blush, and I'm just applying the product onto my cheeks. And basically what I'm doing with applying it, I want the most amount of color to be where I put that blush initially. So we want the most amount of pigment to be here, and then we want to blend that pigment out down our cheeks, and I like to blend mine a little bit up as well to help shape my face with what we talked about earlier. But for that step, I like to use an angled brush like this that is a little dense, but that it gives a little bit. This is a Firma 103. I actually got this in an Ipsy bag. Don't know if this brand even exists anymore. You could probably guess what type of motions I'm going to do. Stipple! So you're going to go in and stipple that color in place first, and then we're going to gently expand out from where it was applied and blend it into the bronzer. You can add more if you're a person who loves blush that wants it to be more impactful. And once I get to this part of my cheeks, I do like to feather it backwards so that the edge is not this harsh line. I'm going to go in with a powder blush called Harvey from this NYX Sabrina palette, and I'm just going to use that to build up that peachiness a little bit further. I didn't want to come in with more vibrant blush and there not be an explanation for it. That is the finished base. I hope you guys had fun following along with me. And again, if you really liked the eyes, check that video out that I linked at the beginning. I can link it below if you'd also like me to. But either way, this is going to be it for me on this video. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!